Hey, my name is Mike, and this video is I'm now going to show how to properly tie a tie. As I've had some questions about how to properly tie a tie. Well, first thing you need to have is, okay, this is how to tie a tie. What you want to do is you generally want to have a dress shirt with at least a collar. Okay. What you want to do is there's two sides, the larger end and the shorter end. Larger end always goes on the right, depending on how, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, it generally always goes on the right. Okay, shorter end always goes on the left. What you do is make sure the shorter end, the seam is facing you, where the seam in the back is facing you, and then the opposite non-seam side is facing outward. What you want to do is you want to have the small end about, I want to say 70% up, and then the long end 70% down, and the shorter end 30% up. Okay, take two hands. You want to leave a small gap right here. Okay, what you want to do is wrap around a complete 360 one time all the way around. Okay, then what you want to do, hold the knot slash seam. Second time you're going back around, you want to come up through that gap that you just had. Okay, whether the seam faces outward again, the seam you don't see faces towards you, and the proper tie you see outward. And then what you do is you put through that first horizontal line of the wraparound, put the triangle of the larger end through the knot. Make sure that the knot still comes out of the seam. Okay. And then what you want to do is you'll make sure that the smaller end still has the non-seam end facing outward. And then what you do is you slide a little bit as you're pulling the small seam down a little bit. Okay. And then what you do is, as you pull that knot, you want to make it as horizontal as possible. So let me show you what I mean by that. As that's doing that, you want to try with your right hand, pull that knot so that it looks more like an official small triangle. Okay, and you want to pull it sideways a little bit so you get like that knot. Start to move the knot up slightly. Okay, by pulling down on the smaller end, and then when you want the knot to tighten completely, you hold the larger end, start pulling that down a little bit at a time, and there's your perfect knot. As you can see, maybe not, hold on just 1 second. Okay, here's your perfect knot that you just did as a triangle. As you pull the larger end, I'm trying to hold this, as you pull the larger end down, that will bring the knot more upwards. It will tighten the actual knot. But when you want the gap where you had in between your neck, okay, this is a continued video. I just had the tie tied just a second ago. This is how to properly tie your tie. You want to have a smaller end, approximately 6 inches down from your collar. You want to have the larger end a lot farther down. Now there's a reason for this. Let me see if I can get it forward. As you can see how far the long part is for the tie. You do want to have this as the long part down, because when you conform the knot, you pull down the larger part so that it actually comes down to at least about waist height roughly Most ties are averaging about the same size in a lot of ways. So when you tie a tie, you always want to have the shorter end slightly up higher, because when you tie the tie, this shorter end will actually become down to about halfway through the tie, and when you do that, it will actually conform to be the proper height, roughly about to where that is, to the edge of like of your waist almost, as to properly tie your tie. Now let me do this one more time, just to show people how to tie a tie, just real quick. It's kind of a little bit difficult for me to do this without a camera stand, as I don't have that with me right now, but alright, so when you tie the tie, you want to take your large end that's on your right side with the inseam, the seam facing you, and the proper part of the tie facing outward. Okay, same thing with the smaller tie, or the smaller end. You want to hold this like a triangle. Okay, you kind of want to have like a short gap, give or take about 4 inches. Wrap around once. Okay, see this as the seam. Okay, wrap around once, hold with 2 fingers, and then come up through that gap. Okay, now it's flip back forward. Okay, and then for that first seam, for that wrap around, as you look down at your tie, push this little corner of your actual tie right through the first part of the inseam. Okay, now you want to make sure that the inseam for the smaller end is still facing towards you. Okay, now what you do, let me get a little bit closer. This is kind of a dark tie, so what you do generally is hold your small seam, or the small end of your tie, pull to your right your large part of the tie, so you get that knot, and as you do that, start to pull down a little bit. Now what you do is you pull the small end of your tie so it's closer up. Okay, and then when you want the knot to actually become the knot, pull down on more and make the triangle. Okay, so, and then what you do is this part right here will bunch up a little bit. Try to make it so that it kind of conforms out. Okay, and then you do this. Rotate, pull the smaller end in behind, pull your tie up, and rotate like this. And then this corner, as I said, with that, where you. Okay, now once you do that and you have your gap, pull your small end of your tie, pull towards your right, and then pull down on the small end of your tie. Okay, and then what you want to do is take the little parts right at the bottom of the knot and kind of crease it so it's like a half semicircle that's going out like a blooming flower away from you, or away from the knot. Okay, then you want to straighten that out. Then you have your perfect triangle of your tie. Okay, then what you want to do is pull your collar flaps down, and sometimes they have little buttons that like hold each corner of your tie down. Now as you can see, if I can get close enough, so I have a dark tie. As you can see, there's a nice triangle. Okay, it makes a really like a really good triangle straight up to your neck for your tie. And as you do that, when you pull your bottom part of your tie down, okay, and you make the knot, there is a little name tag flap, okay, that has a gap in between. What you want to do is you want to take the small end of the tie with the seam still facing toward you, okay, and then the regular part of the tie still facing outward, and put that in between that little gap of the name tag, and then you pull your tie down. Okay, and then after you do that, you want to straighten out and pull your tie so that it's a nice snug type of, well, I mean, comfortable for you still to be able to breathe. And usually for me, I like kind of tight ties with a really small triangle of knot. You can have them loose. Right now, this one is still kind of loose. The knots, generally, you can have them at approximately however big you want, but it always makes a triangle. Okay, and then as you can see, the tie comes down to about the waistline, like I had said, and that's how to tie a tie. Every time you want to take off your tie, what you do when you take off your tie is you just pull, you hold the knot, pull the smaller end right out, and then you have a gap all over again. You can take your tie off. Every time you go to retie this same tie with the same knot, all you do is you put it back on, hold the knot, and pull the small end back, and then you have your tie back up again. And then obviously you keep your collar up when you do that. But every time you tie it with the same tie, your tie will become tighter every single time you tie it. So occasionally you always want to take the tie completely out, and then undo the tie, and then there you go. You have your tie all over again. That's how to tie a tie. Thank you for watching, and I'll have some more videos uploaded shortly. Bye.